Say goodbye to high interest rates, maxed out credit cards, overdue loans, and constant badgering from collection agencies. And fix that incorrect information on your credit report. The team at CoachWilliamMoore.com are your professional certified credit experts, helping you say bye-bye to your worries and say hello to the credit report you deserve. Let CoachWilliamMoore.com repair your credit and welcome in new success. Visit CoachWilliamMoore.com today.
Now, here's your host, Coach William Moore.
Hello and sharp. This is Coach William Moore from the great state of New York, your certified credit counselor and coach. And I'm so glad that you took out the time to check out this webinar, helping you get the credit you deserve. You know, I've been in this industry close to 20 years now, and it's just amazing how things start off. Because I promise you, 20 years ago, I wasn't thinking about business, credit. I was an officer in the United States Army. And I was actually getting ready for a promotion because they wanted us to go off to the Gulf War at the time, and I was excited. But one of the things that I didn't have the best credit score, and when I was passed over that promotion, and I didn't really understand why, but it was later explained to me that because of my credit score, I couldn't get a higher security clearance, which means I could not get promoted. The way they look at it, if you can't handle your personal finances, how are we going to trust you with all of our assets? And so, made some decisions, and I decided, I wanted to educate myself. And I'm so glad that I did, because everything that I've learned, everything that I've been helping people with, I'm going to be sharing with you for these next few minutes. But one of the things I want to say is that really the passport to your financial freedom is your credit. As I said before, these are things I've learned because, I've been traveling around around this country and around the world, because the credit profile systems around the world are a lot different from our country, but some of them are similar. But one of the things I recognize is that if I went to that TSA agent and if I didn't have a passport, well, I'm not going anywhere. Credit really is the same thing. You see, credit is the center of all business, and it's the essence of financial planning. And so the higher your credit scores, obviously the low interest rates you're paying. Low interest rates means more money in your pocket, which means a better atmosphere for financial freedom. So see the things that we learn. Because think about it. What is considered a good credit score? In 2023, believe it or not, most people still don't know what's considered a good score. They may have their different opinions, but they really don't know. Well, this is actually the FICO chart. FICO ranges from 300 to 850. I also want to put a caveat, there are other scoring models called Vantage 4.0, and their scores are very similar. And so when you're looking at it ranges from 300 to 850. You got to ask yourself, well, where are you right now? And no matter where you are, would you like to be higher? Now, one of the things I'm very excited about is that in the last 20 years, there's been a lot of marketing, a lot of exposures about credit. People are talking about scores more than ever before, but it's still not giving the full picture, because there has been a shift, especially in 2023, that started in 2020, but most people didn't realize the shift was happening because we had something called COVID. And so while the credit industry and the credit bureaus was acting, was doing one thing, we were focusing on our health and our well-being, which we should have. But in between that time, there was a shift. And so one of the things I want to let you know right now is that even though this is the FICO chart, you should always know what your scores are. It's not necessarily about the scores, but it's on the report. That's very important, because this is the components that actually compile your credit score, these 5 areas. Most people have seen this before. They may think it's a cliche, but more than ever, it's very important in regards to how these things work, because there are 5 of them. And if you can see, the most important one is payment history. How do you pay your bills? Do you pay your bills on time? Well, because of things that's happened in the last few years, a lot of times people are compromised in this area. People had to defer certain loans. Some people went under simply because they might have lost their job, or they might have lost one of their jobs, which changed their whole financial situation, which means that bills were getting paid on time are now getting paid late. And then, of course, 30% is balance of credit limit. How do you handle your existing credit? Whether it be credit cards, mortgages, whatever, how are you handling that? These are the 1 and 2 things that's really impacting your scores. Well, one thing I want people to know is that, the Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion are private companies, and they're not free from making simple errors. So the most common errors are inaccurate information, erroneous information, or obsolete information. Inaccurate information is defined as data that cannot be verified by the CRAs or by the creditors. In other words, if there's information on your credit report and if they can't verify it, by law, it has to be removed from your credit report. Erroneous information is really incorrect data entered through data entry or human error. 97% of the information that is on our credit report has been entered by something. And now that we have AI technology, you never know what type of systems are being used to enter information on your report. So you mean to tell me that because somebody can't type or because somebody's entering something wrong, it may be costing you thousands of dollars per year simply because of the interest rates that you're paying off of mistakes. And then, of course, obsolete information. There is something called the statute of limitations. 7 years for negative items to be on your report, 10 years depending upon what type of bankruptcy that you filed. Hey, how about even collecting on a debt? Depending upon what state you live on, there are statute of limitations on how long you can actually collect on a debt. Sometimes what people do is that they actually re-age old debt simply because they didn't had no idea about the statute of limitations. So there's something called truth and accuracy. True, you may have been paid late. True, you might owe on that debt. But accuracy, the wrong information is on your report, you may go on beyond the statute of limitations. This is why you actually need professionals to help you with that. But also understand that the shift I was talking about, that there's a new scoring system in town, and it's called FICO 10. This is something that actually began in 2020. This is something I've been talking about for the last couple of years, but remember, we had COVID. And so because we had COVID, a lot of people shifted off their attentions off their financing and shifted the attentions to their health and preventive measures, and rightfully so. But that still did not stop the ball from rolling. With the new FICO scoring system, it focuses on trended data, which basically means your payment habits. It also talks about your payment, your credit cards, whether you're carrying over full balances. And for those of you who've already had good credit in the new FICO 10 model, you're going to have better credit. But for those of you who had not so good credit or even poor credit, guess what? Your score is going to go worse simply because they're looking over your payment habits. One of the things they're looking at is a 24-month look back period. This is how they judge your habits. What they're saying is, if I can see what you've done before, I can start predicting some of the things on the future. And so really when they're looking at 24 months, this is what they want to see. They want to see all greens. They want to see okay, okay, okay. Okay means on time payments. You see, if they look at this, then they know everything is all good. How the credit industry kind of works is almost like blind dating. Now I'm going to give you the connection because you might say, what are you talking about? Credit, finances, blind dating. For those of you who have ever gone on a blind date, I was married before and then I got divorced. And so I was kind of back out there in a single scene. And I remember going on some blind dates. So imagine you're on a blind date. Maybe you've gotten to the restaurant a little early simply because you want to position yourself. And then the person you're waiting for is coming around the corner and you go, oh my goodness, this person looks great. Oh, this is going to be a wonderful date. And then after about an hour or two, you start recognizing, whoa, this is not going to be a match. We have totally different ideologies, and maybe this person's kind of crazy. Well, really, when I talked about it's not about the score, it's about the report, it's kind of the same thing. You see, you could have a good score, but you understand, creditors don't know you. All they know is information that you focused on, that you sent them. And so let's just say they saw a great score. A 710 is considered a good score. But when they look at your report, what are they looking at? See, they're looking at the color codes, whether it be collections, items that have been late 30 days, 60 days. Now, they all have different codes. And so even though you have a 710 score, you have some collections, that obviously brought that score down, but now they may not want to take the risk on you because you got to understand that this model was created to mitigate risk. After all, in the crash that we had in 2007, 2008, and of course what we had in COVID, billions were lost. Billions. So what the creditors had to do? They had to mitigate risk. We can't just go by scores anymore. What we want to find out is what type of payment habits does this person have? So we can look back 2 years, but think about where were you 2 years ago? Prior to COVID, it might have been all good. Or prior to COVID, it might have been terrible. It has now gotten worse. But still, when creditors are looking at your report, these are things they're looking for, and they see these things on there, well, they're not going to approve you. That's why it's also very important to understand about certain things as well. Payments on your credit cards. See, there's something called what I call a double whammy. And the double whammy is that utilization ratios on your credit cards are 30% of your score. That means utilization ratios on existing credit. So what if you have 2 or 3 or 4 credit cards? Well, here's a scenario right here where this person's at 98% utilization ratio on this particular card. Why? Well, because the balance is 1,500, but they owe 1466. Well, see, if you actually just work with the formula basically is looking upon, the balance divided by the limit times 100 actually gives you the utilization ratio. But when I talk about double whammy, this person also has a late pay. And so I just told you, uh, payment on-time payment history is 35%. Utilization ratio is 30%. So 65% of this person's score is impacted on these two factors. Well, that's just off of one credit card. Where the person has 2, 3, 4, 5 credit cards or more and have similar things. You gotta understand these last couple of years, people have been heavily relying on their credit cards. I mean, the Consumer Bureau of Protection says that over 78% of the American population has over $10,000 of credit card debt. I would like to think because of what's happened these past couple of years, that's probably one of the major factors. And so, really, in understanding everything, you want to work with a professional team that understands all these things that can not only tell you about your credit, but they can actually help you get out of wherever you are right now. And why? Because the owner and founder of this team, the WM Consulting Team, was once like you, had bad credit, didn't understand finances, and then got some information, got some certifications, actually start doing some of the things that he learned and got of credit, and then start teaching people how to do the same thing. We have over 2 decades of experience. We are located in the great state of New York. Yes, Coach Moore is a certified credit counseling. And the things that what we focus on, our pillars are education, monitoring, and restoration. Some of these things may sound like a cliche, but I would say like this: if you know exactly what you need to do, then you can get out the hole that you might be currently in, but then you can stay out the hole because what you will have is knowledge. In our services, what we provide is that we're going to identify all the errors and inaccuracies that might have been missed that are affecting your credit report. We're going to do a full analysis of your credit report, and we're going to look at information not being outdated, that's irrelevant, it's unnecessary, and there are past the statute of limitations. We're going to do the legally challenge of inconsistencies with all 3 of the bureaus because the bureaus hate challenges. You know why? Because it's very costly for them. They play all the games and make sure you don't do a challenge. They'll do things to try to discourage you. But they won't discourage the WD and Moore team. And why? Because we know all the tricks. We know all the games they play. And that's why we go after all 3 of your reports. And that's why for most of you who may have services that only gives you 1 report or 2 reports, you got to make sure you have the full story. Because one of the things we want to focus on is facilitating the reversal of negative items to be instead of removals. Remember that credit card situation I showed you? What if you deleted that? You're now taking away the pertinent history that's necessary. You might have had that credit card for 10 years. If we delete it, now what's going to happen? All the history is gone. No, we want to reverse it because remember, there was a late pay, but there was one late pay of 30 days. We were able to hopefully reverse it by doing what? Showing the consistencies of the payment. So instead of deleting it, we want to reverse it because our focus on we want to increase your credit scores ethically, legally, and quickly. Some of the items that we need: Social Security and address verification. Well, what does that mean? Well, Social Security, that can be a Social Security card, 1099, doesn't really matter as long as it has your name and your current Social Security number. Same thing for address verification. That can be a driver's license, state ID, anything that has your name and your current address. Why? Because we have to make sure that you are you. Once we get those documents and stuff, now we can actually do what we need to do, which means properly and legally challenge the information that's on your report. So really review, what we're going to do is a full analysis of your credit report. We're going to do one-on-one credit counseling. Understand that I'm not a credit repair guy. I am a certified credit counselor. I'm a coach. So my thing is not just to help you with your credit, it's to get the full picture, the full totality of your finances, and credit is a part of that. We want to identify the errors and inaccuracies. We will legally challenge all the inconsistencies. We're going to facilitate the reversal of negative information and remove inaccurate information. We want to provide 3 separate rounds of restoration depending upon your choice because sometimes you may have to go more rounds. Every round is 30 to 45 days. We want to increase your scores ethically, legally, and quickly. And we're going to give you the ability to monitor our progress because we actually give you a customer portal where you can see for yourself. And so, though I welcome all calls and all emails, if you want to find out more information while you're a customer, we'll give you a portal so you can actually see for yourself. We actually have strategic partners in this game because if we're going to work together, you need some type of credit monitoring. It is very important. You know, you can work with our models. The models we work with are Credit Hero Score, Identity IQ. And we'll actually give you a link that's a $1 7-day trial link just so you can see where we are. This is before you become our customer, just so we know exactly where you are. It is important for that because this is actually going to be another level of how you can verify what we do because you'll be able to go onto your report and you can see all 3 of your reports. And when you see notations that says this item's being challenged, this item's being challenged, or if you're seeing difference in your scores, what do you know? You know that Coach Moore and the team, we are on the job. And so I'm so glad that you got the chance to work with us. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with myself, go onto my calendar link, which is calendly.com/Coach Moore. We'll schedule a one-on-one. And during this one-on-one, I'm going to be asking you some questions that you may feel a little uncomfortable with, but you got to understand, when it comes to credit and finances, the law and these bureaus, all the personal stuff and how you feel goes out the window. One of the first things I'm going to talk about is your why. Why are you looking to improve your credit? Do you just want a better score so you can, brag at parties or whatever? Are you looking to purchase something? Are you looking to invest? Hey, are you in business looking to leverage yourself and maybe start venturing into getting some business credit or some additional finances? Either or, we're going to identify your why. Because it's always been said, if your why does not make you cry, then it's not strong enough. Because after that, I need to know your IQ level and not how smart you are. I want to know your I quit level. This is a journey. And this is a journey that you and I and our team, we're going to take this journey together. Your issues now start becoming our issues. Your concerns start becoming our concerns. Because remember, we're working together, for a few months. And so for those next few months, I need to know what would make you quit. Because if there's something that will make you quit, I need to know day one, even before you pay me and become our customer. Then I'm going to be looking at your debt to income ratio, which is very important. We always say you should be at 43% or lower. We might start looking at your debt to limit ratios. In other words, we're going to look at all of your credit. Because with all of your credit divided by how much you make, you should be under 30%. And then, of course, we're going to look at your current FICO scores. We got to see what the picture is. See, we want to get the whole story so we know how to properly advise you. And then, as I said, once you actually work with us and once you become our client, what we want you to do is we want you to enroll for the monitoring service. Very important. Without that, we really can't work together because I need to know how your scores, how your reports are changing each month. You're going to send over our username and password of whatever service you've chosen. That now allows us to get into that. You're going to send over your Social Security and address verification. Those documents must be present when we are challenging. If not, nothing happens. And then we're going to send all of our challenges to the CRAs every month. And we have different facets of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which we use. This is why we get the best results. And as mentioned, you will get a customer portal so you can actually track your progress. Well, listen, this has been a pleasure. I'm hoping that you've enjoyed this presentation. If you happen to have any more pertinent questions in regards of credit or something like that, please feel free to email me at wmoore@williamdmoore.com. But I hope we have this consultation. Let's work together. Let's get all your questions answered, and let's help you get the credit you truly deserve. This is Coach Moore from the great state of New York. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Sharp, sharp.
Be sure to visit CoachWilliamMoore.com for more information. Until next time, remember, every day is a new opportunity to get the credit you deserve.